Life has a way of pressing against the soul, wrapping its hands around the spirit, squeezing tight until breath is short and hope feels like a distant stranger. There are moments when the night stretches long, refusing to yield to the morning, when troubles pile high like unmovable mountains, and no matter how much strength one musters, the weight does not lessen. The mind races, searching for solutions, grasping for answers that seem just beyond reach. Worry takes root, creeping into the cracks of the heart, whispering doubts, planting fear, turning peace into a fragile thing. But if you listen beyond the noise of panic, beyond the storm of uncertainty, there is a truth steady and unshaken, waiting to be heard. It is not loud, nor does it beg for attention, yet it holds power beyond measure. It does not argue, does not demand, yet it stands as firm as the earth beneath your feet. That truth is this: do not worry. The way will be made, the burden will be lifted, the storm will pass. The problem that stands before you today will not stand forever. What seems impossible will be undone not by the might of your hands, not by the cleverness of your mind, but by a force greater than any worry, stronger than any fear. And so I tell you, hold on not to worry, but to the certainty that what troubles you now will not have the last word. The answer is coming, the battle is already shifting, the doors that seem shut will not remain closed forever. Do not let fear write your story. Do not let anxiety decide your fate. The way is being made, even if you cannot see it yet. I have seen the heart grow weary, seen hands tremble under the weight of burdens too great to bear. I have known the nights when sleep refuses to come, when the mind spins in endless circles, chasing solutions that never seem to land. Worry is a thief, a cunning one, slipping in through cracks unnoticed, wrapping itself around the soul, tightening its grip until peace is nothing but a distant memory. It whispers lies, telling you that there is no way out, that the weight will only grow heavier, that the storm will never pass. And too often we believe it. But hear me now. Worry is not the master of your fate. Worry does not own your future. Worry may sit in the corners of your mind. It may lurk in the shadows of your thoughts, but it is not the author of your story. There is something greater moving in the unseen, something already at work, already shifting the tides, already opening doors where you thought only walls stood. You may be standing in the midst of struggle, your hands empty, your heart tired, your spirit drained. You may feel as though the world has conspired against you, as though every step forward is met with a force pushing you back. But do not be fooled by what you see. What is visible is not all there is. Beyond what your eyes can perceive, beyond what your mind can calculate, there is a plan unfolding, a path being laid, a rescue already on its way. Think back to the moments you thought would break you, the nights you were certain you would not survive, the burdens you thought would crush you. And yet, here you are, still standing, still breathing, still moving forward. The same force that carried you then is carrying you now. The same unseen hands that lifted you from despair are still at work. The same way was made before, and the way will be made again. You may not see it now. You may not understand how or when or where the answer will come. But do not let that shake you. Do not let the unknown breed fear. Do not let the waiting birth anxiety. There is a time for all things, and your time of restoration, your time of deliverance, your time of breakthrough is coming. The seeds have been planted, the roots are growing, the change is already in motion. When the storm rages, when the path ahead is unclear, when the weight of uncertainty presses against your chest, remember this: worry is wasted energy. Worry does not build bridges, it does not open doors, it does not move mountains. Worry keeps you locked in a prison of fear, but trust unlocks the doors. Trust clears the way. Trust brings peace in the midst of the storm. a peace that does not depend on circumstances, a peace that is steady even when the winds howl and the waves crash. So let go. Let go of the thoughts that keep you restless. Let go of the fear that keeps you paralyzed. Let go of the idea that you must carry it all alone. You were never meant to bear the weight of the world. You were never meant to solve every problem by the strength of your own hands. Help is already on the way. The answer is already unfolding. The light is already breaking through the darkness. There is a story being written, and this chapter, this moment of struggle, of worry, of doubt, is not the end. It is but a passage, a turn in the road, a part of the journey. What looks like a closed door today may be the very thing leading you to an open door tomorrow. What feels like a setback now may be the setup for something greater than you ever imagined. Do not let worry steal from you. Do not let it take your peace, your joy, your hope. The way will be made. The answer will come. The burden will be lifted. Hold on just a little while longer. Change is coming. The impossible is about to be undone. And when you look back on this moment, when you see the way things unfolded, you will understand you were never alone in this. The help you needed was already on its way. I have seen the way worry creeps into the bones, how it settles in the mind like an unwelcome guest that refuses to leave. It does not knock. It does not ask permission. It enters in the quiet moments when the house is still, when the day has ended but sleep does not come. It wraps itself around your thoughts, whispering questions with no answers, filling the silence with fear, filling the future with uncertainty. It makes the heart heavy, the steps slow, the spirit weak. It plants seeds of doubt, waters them with fear, and before you know it, they grow into something too large to uproot. But I tell you now, do not be deceived. Worry is not wisdom. Worry is not preparation. Worry does not equip you for the days ahead. It only robs you of the strength you need to face them. Worry does not build, it only destroys. It does not open doors, it only keeps you locked in place. It does not protect, it only weakens. And yet we hold on to it as if it is a shield, as if clinging to fear will somehow prevent the storm from coming. But the storm will come whether you worry or not. The struggle will rise whether you fear it or not. And so if the trials will come either way, why spend your strength on fear when you could hold on to something greater? I have walked through the valley of uncertainty, have stood at the edge of despair and looked into the abyss of hopelessness. I have known the weight of burdens too heavy for human hands to carry, and I have learned this. What feels like the end is not the end. What looks like defeat is not defeat. What seems impossible is already being undone. The way may not be clear, but that does not mean there is no way. The answer may not be visible, but that does not mean there is no answer. The path forward may be hidden, but that does not mean it does not exist. You may be sitting in the middle of your storm, watching the winds rage, feeling the waves rise, believing that the night will never end. You may be looking at the walls before you, feeling the weight of closed doors, convinced that you will never move forward, but I tell you, wait. Wait just a little while longer. What you see now is not the whole story. What you feel now is not the final chapter. The shift is coming. The doors will open. The night will break. And when the morning comes, when the weight is lifted, when the answer arrives, you will look back and see what you could not see before. You will understand why the waiting was necessary. You will know why the struggle was part of the journey. You will see that the things you thought would break you were shaping you. The things you thought would ruin you were preparing you. The things you thought were meant for harm were turning in your favor. What is broken will be mended. What is lost will be restored. What is delayed will not be denied. You do not have to know how. You do not have to know when. You do not have to see the path before you. All you have to do is hold on. Hold on a little longer. Trust a little deeper. Stand a little stronger. The way is already being made. The storm is already beginning to settle. The breakthrough is already on its way. I have seen it happen before. I have seen the doors that would not budge suddenly swing open. I have seen the mountains that seemed unmovable suddenly crumble into dust. I have seen the impossible become possible in the blink of an eye. And so I do not speak of things I do not know. I do not tell you to hope without reason. I do not ask you to believe without proof. I tell you to trust because I have seen what happens when you do. I tell you to wait because I know what comes to those who do not give up. I tell you to let go of worry because I have seen what happens when you release it. Look around and you will see it. People carrying burdens they were never meant to carry. People dragging the weight of yesterday into the promise of today. People living in the grip of fear, unable to see the possibilities before them because their vision is clouded by doubt. But it does not have to be this way. The hands that tremble under the weight of uncertainty can be steadied. The heart that beats with anxious rhythm can be calm. The mind that races toward worst-case scenarios can find rest. There's a way through this. There's a way beyond this. You do not have to hold every worry, do not have to bear every burden, do not have to carry every question on your back. Release it, let it go, surrender the thoughts that keep you awake at night, the fears that steal the joy from your days, the anxieties that press against your chest until breathing feels like work. They are not meant for you. They do not serve you. They are not building you. They are breaking you. I have known the nights of wrestling with unseen fears, of pacing floors that seemed to stretch endlessly, of staring at ceilings with questions that had no answers. I have known the exhaustion that comes from carrying burdens too heavy for human hands. But I have also known what happens when you finally release them, when you finally decide to trust in something greater than worry, when you finally let go of the need to control every detail of your life and allow the pieces to fall where they are meant to be. That is when peace comes. That is when the weight lifts. That is when the answers unfold before you as if they were there all along, waiting for you to stop striving, waiting for you to stop fearing, waiting for you to make room for something greater than your own understanding. You may not see the way now. You may not understand how the problem will be solved, how the situation will turn, how the impossible will become possible. But understanding is not required for movement. You do not have to know every detail to take the next step. You do not have to have every answer to move forward. You do not have to see the entire staircase to take the first step. And so do not let the unknown keep you frozen in place. Do not let the uncertainty of tomorrow steal the power of today. Keep moving. Keep trusting. Keep believing that just as the night gives way to morning, just as winter gives way to spring, just as storms pass and skies clear, this too shall pass. The same force that holds the stars in place, the same power that tells the ocean how far to come, the same presence that paints the sky with new colors each morning, that same force, that same power, that same presence is working in your life right now. It is aligning things beyond what you can see, shifting things beyond what you can understand, preparing a way for you beyond what you could have imagined. And so do not let worry convince you that you are alone. Do not let fear make you believe that the weight of the world is yours to carry. You were never meant to carry it all. You were never meant to solve it all. You were never meant to bear it all alone. The pieces are falling into place even now. The doors are unlocking even now. The answers are unfolding even now. Just because you cannot see it does not mean it is not happening. Just because you cannot feel it does not mean the shift is not occurring. Just because the night still lingers does not mean the morning is not on its way. It is coming. The relief is coming. The restoration is coming. The breakthrough is coming. Think back to every moment you thought you would not survive. Think back to every challenge you thought would destroy you. Think back to every time you believed the weight was too heavy, the pain too great, the situation too hopeless, and yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still moving forward. That is proof enough that what tried to break you failed. That is proof enough that what seemed impossible was already being worked out in ways you could not see. That is proof enough that the same force that carried you then is carrying you now. So do not give up. Do not let despair convince you that this is the end. Do not let weariness make you believe that things will never change. The shift is already happening. The solution is already in motion. The healing is already beginning. What feels unbearable now will one day be a distant memory. What feels insurmountable now will one day be a testimony of perseverance, of trust, of faith in something greater than fear. Close your eyes, take a breath, release the weight, let go of the fear, let go of the need to control, let go of the belief that you must have every answer right now. Trust that the answers will come in their time, that the doors will open when they are meant to, that the way will be made just as it always has been. Worry will try to return, fear will try to creep back in, doubt will try to whisper lies into your ear, but you do not have to listen. You do not have to accept them. You do not have to allow them space in your mind, in your heart, in your life. Speak to your fears and tell them they have no power here. Speak to your worries and tell them they will not steal another moment of your peace. Speak to your doubts and tell them they will not shake your foundation. Stand firm in the knowing that what is meant for you will come, that what is broken will be restored, that what is lost will be found, that what is uncertain now will one day be clear. You are stronger than you know. You are more resilient than you realize. You have overcome more than you give yourself credit for, and you will overcome this too. This moment will not define you. This struggle will not break you. This challenge will not be the end of your story. Keep going, keep believing, keep trusting that what is meant for you is already on its way. The way is already being made. The answer is already unfolding. The breakthrough is already happening. And when it comes, when the weight is lifted, when the storm has passed, you will look back and know that every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt was leading you to something greater than you ever could have imagined. I have seen people fold under the weight of worry, letting fear dictate their days, letting anxiety rob them of their joy. I have seen strong hands tremble, steady voices waver, confident steps turn uncertain. I have seen the way doubt creeps into the mind like a slow-moving tide, rising inch by inch until it drowns out all hope. It starts small, just a whisper, just a question, just a single what if. But give it time, give it space, and before you know it, worry has built itself a home in your heart, making itself comfortable in the corners of your mind, taking up room that was never meant for it. And so many people live this way, walking with the weight of worry, pressing down on their shoulders, carrying burdens that are not theirs to carry, holding on to problems that are already being solved. They spend their days trying to predict every outcome, trying to control every detail, trying to anticipate every storm before it comes. But what they do not realize is that in their desperate attempt to control, they are only creating more chaos. In their effort to prevent disaster, they are only inviting fear. In their unwillingness to trust, They are only exhausting themselves. I have seen it in my own life. I have known the restless nights, the heavy days, the moments of wondering how it would all work out. I have felt the fear of uncertainty, the pressure of the unknown, the burden of believing that I had to figure it all out on my own. But I have also learned that worry does not solve problems. Fear does not prevent struggles. Anxiety does not change outcomes. And the moment I learned to release it, the moment I learned to trust beyond what I could see, that was the moment peace found me. That was the moment the weight lifted. That was the moment I realized that the things I had been trying so desperately to hold together were already being held. So many people are waiting for answers, waiting for breakthroughs, waiting for the moment when everything will finally make sense. They sit in the space between what was and what will be, between the problem and the solution, between the storm and the clearing skies. And in that waiting, worry takes hold. In that waiting, fear whispers lies. In that waiting, doubt begins to spread. But what if I told you the waiting was not in vain? What if I told you the delay was not a denial? What if I told you that just because you cannot see the answer does not mean the answer is not coming? I have seen it before. I have watched as doors that seemed permanently shut suddenly swung open. I have witnessed people on the brink of giving up receive exactly what they needed in the moment they needed it most. I have stood in the presence of miracles disguised as ordinary moments, blessings hidden in the waiting, breakthroughs wrapped in the silence. And I have learned that just because something is not happening in the way you expected does not mean it is not happening at all. Just because you do not have the answers now does not mean the answers are not on their way. You do not have to see it to believe it. You do not have to know every detail to trust that the way is being made. You do not have to understand how it will all work out to know that it will. And so, why waste your strength on fear? Why give your energy to worry? Why allow the weight of uncertainty to rob you of the peace you could have right now? Release it, let it go, take a breath, and remind yourself that just as the sun rises after the longest night, just as the seasons change without your effort, just as the tides move in perfect rhythm, your life is unfolding in divine order. The things you worry about now, the things that keep you up at night, the things that make you wonder if you will ever find your way, one day they will be nothing more than distant memories, lessons learned, obstacles overcome. The very things you fear today will one day be the things you look back on and realize were only stepping stones, only detours, only temporary delays on the way to something greater. But you will never see it if you let worry blind you. You will never reach it if you let fear paralyze you. You will never experience it if you hold so tightly to what is that you have no room for what will be. Take a moment and breathe. Feel the weight of your worry, the tension in your shoulders, the restlessness in your spirit. Now imagine what it would feel like to set it all down, to release it completely, to walk forward unburdened, unafraid, unshaken. That peace is available to you now, not just when the problem is solved, not just when the answers come, not just when everything finally makes sense. That peace is yours in the waiting, in the in-between, in the uncertain moments when nothing looks the way you hoped it would. But until then, walk forward with confidence, move forward with peace, let go of the need to control, release the grip of fear, stand in the knowing that even in the silence, even in the uncertainty, even in the waiting, something greater is happening. The storm will pass, the night will end. The answer will come, and when it does, you will look back on this moment and realize that you were never forgotten, never forsaken, never alone. The way was always being made, the answer was always on its way, the solution was always unfolding, even when you could not see it, and because of that, you never had a reason to worry in the first place. I have seen the way worry builds itself a home inside a person's heart, creeping in through cracks of doubt and settling in places it was never meant to stay. It whispers lies in the quiet moments, convincing you that things will never change, that you will always struggle, that the weight you carry now will be the weight you carry forever. It makes a person believe they are alone, that their cries go unheard, that their pain has no purpose. And before they know it, they begin to live as if the burden is theirs alone to bear, as if the road ahead is nothing but darkness, as if peace is something meant for someone else, but never for them. But that is the greatest trick of worry. It makes you forget what you have already survived. It makes you ignore the battles you have already won, the mountains you have already climbed, the storms you have already endured. It makes you believe that this moment, this struggle, this hardship is where your story ends. But if you could step outside of the fear, if you could quiet the anxious thoughts long enough to remember, you would see that this is not the first time you have faced the unknown. This is not the first time you have stood at the edge of uncertainty, wondering how you would make it through. This is not the first time you have felt overwhelmed, afraid, unsure of what to do next, and yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still moving forward. That is proof enough that you were never forgotten, never forsaken, never left to carry it all on your own. That is proof enough that there was always a way, even when you could not see it. That is proof enough that the hands that held you then are holding you now. And if they carried you through before, what makes you think they will not carry you through again? Worry will try to tell you that this time is different, that this time the answer will not come, that this time the problem is too big, too heavy, too impossible. But worry is a liar. It wants to keep you stuck in fear, wants to keep you restless and anxious, wants to make you forget the truth that has always been, the truth that the way is already being made, that the answer is already unfolded, that the weight you feel today will not be the weight you carry forever. But you must be willing to release it. You must be willing to let go of the need to control every outcome, to stop clinging to the fear of what might go wrong, to stop believing that your peace is tied to things going exactly as you planned. There is something greater at work. There is a movement happening beyond what you can see. The pieces are falling into place, not in your time, not in your way, but exactly as they were meant to. It is easy to believe when things are going well. It is easy to trust when the answers come quickly, when the doors open with ease, when the path ahead is clear. But true faith is built in the waiting. True trust is strengthened in the silence. True belief is tested when nothing makes sense, when every door seems closed, when every effort feels like it leads to nowhere. It is in those moments that you must hold on. It is in those moments that you must remind yourself of what you know to be true. Because just as the tide moves without your permission, just as the seasons change without your effort, just as the sun rises each morning without your doing, the things meant for you are coming. The answers are on their way. The breakthrough is already happening. But if you let worry steal your focus, if you let fear convince you that you are forgotten, if you let doubt make you believe that the silence means nothing is happening, you will miss the beauty of the unfolding. You will miss the miracle in the making. You will miss the very thing you have been waiting for. So release the worry, let go of the fear, lay down the burdens you were never meant to carry. Walk forward even when you do not see the way. Stand firm even when the winds of doubt try to shake you. Trust even when the silence makes it feel like nothing is happening, because something is happening. Even now, even in this moment, even in the uncertainty, something is moving on your behalf. You may not see it yet. You may not understand how it will all come together. But one day you will look back on this very moment and realize that it was always working for your good, that the delay was not a denial, that the closed doors were only redirections, that the waiting was not wasted. And when that day comes, You will wonder why you ever wasted a single moment worrying. You will wonder why you let fear take up so much space in your heart. You will wonder why you ever doubted that things would come together exactly as they were meant to. But until then, be still, be at peace. Know that just because you cannot see the way does not mean the way is not being made. Just because you do not have the answers does not mean the answers are not coming. Just because the night is dark does not mean the morning is not on its way. Hold on a little longer, trust a little deeper, breathe a little slower, because the moment will come when everything makes sense. The moment will come when you see why it all had to happen this way. The moment will come when you realize that the things that worried you most were never yours to carry in the first place. I have seen hearts grow weary beneath the weight of worry, hands shake under the pressure of the unknown, spirits crushed beneath the burden of things they were never meant to carry. I have seen people lose themselves in the struggle, believing that if they do not fight for control, everything will fall apart. I have watched as minds spiral into fear, as joy is replaced by exhaustion, as peace becomes nothing more than a distant memory. And yet, I have also seen the transformation that comes when a person finally lets go, when they release the grip of worry, when they loosen their hold on fear, when they step back and allow what is meant to be to unfold. There is power in surrender, though the world will tell you otherwise. The world will tell you that strength looks like control, that power looks like having all the answers, that confidence means knowing every step before you take it. But true strength is found in the release. True peace is found in the letting go. True confidence is found in knowing that you do not have to have it all figured out because something greater is already working it out for you. The answers may not come when you want them. The doors may not open when you expect them, but that does not mean they are not on their way. That does not mean the silence is empty. That does not mean the waiting is in vain. How many times have you worried about things that never even happened? How many sleepless nights have you spent fearing outcomes that never came to pass? How many days have you wasted with your mind tangled in anxiety, only to later realize that everything worked out just fine? Worry is a thief. It steals your joy. It drains your energy. It robs you of the peace that is already yours. And for what? For the illusion of control? For the belief that if you think about a problem long enough, you can somehow solve it on your own? There is a better way. There is a higher way. There is a way that leads to peace, no matter the circumstances, no matter the uncertainty, no matter the unknown. I have seen people hold on so tightly to their plans, their desires, their expectations, that they miss the beauty of what is already happening. They cling to what they think should be, never realizing that what is coming is far greater than anything they could have imagined. They try to force open doors that were never meant for them, and when they do not budge, they grow frustrated, they grow anxious, they grow fearful. There is a rhythm to life that cannot be rushed, a timing that cannot be manipulated, a process that cannot be skipped. And when you learn to move with it instead of against it, when you learn to trust instead of resist, when you learn to surrender instead of fight, everything changes. Suddenly, the waiting is no longer torment, but preparation. Suddenly, the unknown is no longer frightening, but an opportunity for growth. Suddenly, the struggle is no longer a punishment, but a necessary step towards something greater. Think back to the moments in your life when you felt lost, when you felt stuck, when you felt like you would never make it through. And yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still moving forward. Proof that the storm did not destroy you. Proof that the battle did not break you. Proof that even when you could not see the way was still being made. And if it happened then, what makes you think it is not happening now? If you were carried through before, what makes you think you will not be carried through again? You were never meant to figure it all out on your own. You were never meant to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You were never meant to live in a constant state of fear, of anxiety, of doubt. There is a better way, a way that allows you to move freely, to breathe deeply, to live fully without being bound by the worries of tomorrow. The answers are already written. The way is already set. The solution is already but you must be willing to release your grip on fear. You must be willing to let go of the need to control every detail. You must be willing to trust in the process, even when you do not understand it.